Paul Whitley is the fractional CFO at C-Suite Support. With a real passion for helping companies set up and implement financial transformations, Paul gives you the tips to improve processes and drive up bottom line profits, helping your business grow exponentially. Simply put, his goal is to help you achieve your goals. This is CEO Talk with Paul Whitley.
Hello, this is Paul Whitley, and thank you for joining us today. I'm a fractional CFO that helps companies grow exponentially. In these times of troubled water and all of the issues of COVID and payroll protection and et cetera, would you like to have someone on your team to help you grow your company exponentially and help you avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the costs that you're incurring right now? So if you need some help, please consider getting a hold of us. Today we've got a discussion that we're going to be talking about the one decision that can be critical to you to set your company for your profit, for your revenue, and your market share. So with that, we're going to be talking to Forrest Performance Group, Jason Forrest and Mary Marshall. And with that, I'd like to run a short video so that we can get an idea of what they do and how they do it.
And so think of your mindset is like your hard drive in your computer system. Basically my entire life, I've spent focused on studying the mindset of the top kind of 1%.
Abundance in all areas of your life is your birthright, and that is financially, that's in love and relationships, that's in service to your community, that's in joy. Abundance is your birthright.
Do I believe that my effort makes a difference? One of the most important things that you can do to impact your profitability through your employees, which I also believe is the number one profit leak in organizations, is people's productivity.
And sometimes our circumstances are leading us through inspiration, and we are running full speed towards our dreams. And sometimes the circumstances in our life feel more like they're leading us from desperation, and we are running as fast as we can away from our nightmares. But here's the cool thing: no matter what the circumstances in your life are right now, you're not doing it wrong, because both paths end at the same place.
I want to introduce you to Jason and Mary Forrest. Jason, Mary.
It's great to be here.
Great to be here.
I like the couple name. Jerry, I'll take it. Yeah. That's wonderful.
We'll just take one of those and go. You're always in the mindset. What is the warrior mode? What do you do to get ready every day for your mental and physical preparation to try to get this process that you do in helping others get to a top performance?
Sure. So I wrote a book recently called The Mindset of a Sales Warrior, which talks about the 42 mental toughness strategies to up your game, specifically as it relates to being a salesperson. One of the things we talk about in the book is the power of rituals. And so as it relates to Mary and I, we both have a ritual. We wake up at 4:30 every single morning, and then we have some meditation time, some focused kind of intention time. We both go and work out together and have like a warrior workout that we do that's body weight, resistance training, and running and walking, that sort of thing. And then just a scheduled plan your day, and then of course some sort of kind of healthy meal. Right now, the two of us are doing intermittent fasting, but either that or some sort of protein, collagen. I have a whole kind of list of things that I put in my smoothie every single morning to get going for the day.
It's a big list.
It's a big list.
It's a very big list.
Well, tell us a little bit about Forrest Performance Group and what you want to do to help companies get out of this mess that we're in right now.
Paul, thank you. Right now is such a crucial time, and I love that we started with health, because we can't do anything if we're not first serving ourselves and fulfilling our own needs. But what we've noticed is that things that were fine in 2019, I'm fine at sales, my processes are fine, my team is fine fine equals bankruptcy in 2020. And so if we are going to be not just make it through, but thrive and successful, what we need to do is turn up, be impeccable with everything that we're doing, and turn it up and make sure that that we are being the best that we can be in all areas and focusing on it.
Thank you.
Jeff, I do, because I think
the pandemic, nobody had a playbook for this, and you guys are both great speakers and trainers. Pandemic hits. Is there fear? You're warriors, but is there, oh my goodness, my event just got canceled? How did you deal with that?
Well, for us, we are the Warrior Selling Training Program is right now listed on Global Gurus as the second best sales training program in the world, beating out all of the other major contenders out there. And what was amazing for us is we were very blessed in the sense that 90% of our clients that were in our program prior to COVID happening, they were either making their sales goals, or some of them are actually selling 3 times more than the counterpart. And it's actually very simple if you think about it, is that before COVID, to kind of go along with what Mary was saying, is that I think in 2019 you didn't have to be impeccable to be a great business professional or have a great business. So for example, in 2019, it was all about abundance. Everyone was giving money to everyone. The standards weren't really that high. I mean, even us, we had the second best sales training program in the world, but we still lost business to other training companies that had lesser standards and a lower price. What's interesting in 2020 is that people are going to be pickier on who they give their money to in 2020. So where like in 2019, you'd almost say you'd have 3 classes of business. You'd have business that was crushing it, you'd have business that was doing okay, and then you have businesses that were basically going under. In 2020, I think there's going to be 2 classes of business. I think there'll be businesses that are taking market share, and there are businesses that are going under. And so that's the real shift that's happening right now. And so the businesses that are going to take market share are the ones that have the highest possible standards, that have this warrior mindset, warrior process, and warrior language, specifically as it relates to the sales side. So, you think about in business, there's really kind of, we say 2 problems in business. There are sales problems and there's all the other problems, right? Where in 2019, the problem was everyone would talk about, hey, let's have a great culture, let's have operational excellence, let's have fun and games. Well, that's because everything was fine on the sales side. And as long as you have money, you can go spend time building that other side. But right now, no one's really doing that anymore because they don't have revenue to keep the lights on. So that's what we are. We're really on the revenue side to build that side, so then you can go do the other fun stuff.
Mary, what causes salespeople to fail? Why do people that have been selling for years, when they get in the crisis or the crunch, no longer perform?
Well, the people that have been performing for years that are now not doing well is a mindset issue. And those come, we call them leashes. So it's anything that holds us back. It's fears that we have. And so those can be internal stories we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't know how to do this. It can be reluctances, the fears that we have. It can be rules that we give ourselves, which is, it would be insensitive to call somebody right now and ask them for to buy my product or service because, there's a pandemic. So we shouldn't do that during pandemic. We make up rules that we give ourselves. Or one that I hear a lot is it's really good to call somebody, do follow-up calls 3 times, but the 4th time, that's when you get annoying. Nobody wants to get a call on the 4th time, but that's a rule we gave ourselves. And so it's that mindset. So when we clear that out, we can now follow our process. So it's anything that stops us from the process, because most salespeople, they know what to do.
All right, I've got one.
Yeah.
So a lot has been said about the millennial and the Gen Z generation. Do you find, are they different kinds of salespeople than, say, boomers?
I mean, the difference between millennials, this is always a fun conversation because I've done a lot of talks on unleashing the millennial power. And the thing about millennials we need to know is that is how they were programmed, right? So they were programmed by people that said, okay, if you don't like your grade, then you need to go to your teacher and say, I need a different grade. Or if you don't like how much playing time you have on the soccer field, you need to go talk to your coach about it. Like, they were told that by their parents. And so we just need to know the programming of them is that they are more kind of internally driven of, if I don't like how things are going, I need to go kind of call the shots. But they're also very purpose driven too, because they saw their parents during the 9/11 times and the 2008 times, they saw them losing all of their retirements because they stuck to one company. Their parents' generation was all about, I'm going to choose money over purpose.
Yes.
Well, their parents now have told them, hey, don't do that anymore. Choose purpose over money.
Yes.
And so as far as when I'm concerned, I think millennials are great, just like I think baby boomers are great. You just need to know what's their beliefs that's driving their emotions, it's driving their motivations, driving their behaviors, and you have to make sure as a coach or as a leader that you're programming them correctly, you're coaching them to what they know about.
I know that sometimes owners think they're the best people to hire their salespeople because they're going to hire people just like themselves usually, and that may or may not be the best case. What do you think about that, Mary?
Well, yes. So I think, what's great is think about if a company, if you're an owner, which you've probably been an owner, you're an owner, do you really want a company full of you? Do you want to handle you? So Paul?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think everyone, look at Jeff's laughing because we're all scared of a company full of Pauls. You're a great salesperson, but to have everybody there, we need some diversity. But why they're not is because a lot of times you have these visionaries. And so they're looking, right? And I'm sitting here with a group of visionaries. They're looking all over the place, everything. What could we do? Bigger pictures. We need people that are following processes because the best salespeople are following processes. And so if we're attracted to somebody because of the conversation and the visionary conversation we're having with them, they could be great and have so many assets, but we need somebody that's following a process. And it's going to be procedural based. And I know you get excited about this too.
It's just really just the biases. I mean, that's the main thing, right? We have a likability bias. So, we're going to hire people like us. Well, if you're not the best salesperson in your company, then you're not a good filtering system of that, right? Or if you personally don't like salespeople or you don't respect salespeople, well, you might have this total warrior-like person that you're interviewing for a sales job, but you get turned off by them because they're too aggressive. But you wouldn't want them working for the competition selling against you. They would be taking sales away from you. So you got to be careful on those biases.
And you stepped right into what I do as an integrator. I'm also a visionary, but I'm an integrator. I come in to help companies put those systems together, put their ERP, their CRM, those kind of things put together. So thank you for the lead in right into me. What other kinds of things does FPG do to help their companies that they work with in terms of finding the salespeople, training the salespeople, et cetera?
So our main focus right now, we've shifted our company. We are the fastest growing sales training company in North America based on Inc., the last 5 or 6 years in a row. But what's interesting is right now, 34% of our business is actually on our sales recruiting side. So we're really reinventing the recruiting side. What we've done is we've merged 3 companies in one. We go and find the salesperson for a company. Very few companies are actually sales focused when it comes to recruiting. Then we use third-party assessments to hold it accountable, as well as both of us are master practitioners in neuro-linguistic programming, which is the study of how do people talk and how is it connected to their brain wiring, which tells us a lot about their programming and beliefs. And then last, we put them in a 90-day warrior selling training program to make sure that they're onboarded properly. So basically, we're handing a client a salesperson on a silver platter, and then we give them a 90-day guarantee. If they don't perform, we'll place them for free.
Do all recruiters use the same kind of process to eliminate the people that are not aggressive, that are not going forward, that will not make the grade?
They do not.
What is the difference and what does it give you when you talk to a company to bring in a salesperson?
Yeah. Paul, the funny thing is that originally it was not our intention to go towards recruiting. And what happened is we were going to recruiters going, we have this great assessment. We have this great assessment we want you to use. It shows the leashes. It shows if the person's going to be profitable. Because here's a terrible statistic, as most statistics are. It's 80% of salespeople fail in their first year. 80%. Wow. And so we have this fix for it. But they didn't want to use the assessment because they said, well, it takes too long. It means that it takes down the pool of people that I could go and show someone. We said, exactly. That's why we love it, because it narrows down that pool to the top people, and that's what we wanted to do. And so we couldn't find anybody else that was using it, anybody that we could take our clients to and say, use this recruiter, they're going to find top people for you. We couldn't find anybody that we could refer to for salespeople, and so we decided to do it ourselves.
What percentage of companies don't have any training process at all? They just basically hand them the keys and say, go sell cars.
99%.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, which is it's a good point, Jeff, because a book I wrote a couple years ago was called WTF, which stands for Why Training Fails. And obviously, right? And $164 billion is spent every year on training. 70% fails to ever achieve an ROI.
Wow.
And one of the philosophies in the book is that is that most people, you would never get on an airplane with someone that said, hey, this is Jason from Southwest Airlines, and I just went to a 2-day class on how to fly a plane, and I got this thing figured out. I got a certification, I put it on LinkedIn as a badge, no one would do that, right? But yet we would give a salesperson a $5 million revenue territory or quota and say, here's a book to read or here's a seminar to go to. And that's the extent of the training. But training, by definition, is to change behavior.
Yes.
And so that's why our programs are 90 days at least in length to have that behavioral modification to go on.
And what else do you do to make sure the salesperson succeeds, not only for 90 days, but with your clients, taking them out through the year so that the company succeeds?
Absolutely. We do ongoing training. So we need to make sure that they are successful for them and they are the fastest. And right now, they all are. They all are outperforming the team and the best people that were at the company beforehand. And it's ongoing training. That's the bottom line.
And what do you do with the companies to ensure these people are successful?
Well, the main thing that we do, we focus on 5 specific things, right? So number 1, all of our training is very tactical, so it's very how-based versus what and why. So like Simon Sinek, Power of Why is great, but everyone hears that, gets all jacked up, and they go, yeah, but how do I actually deliver a selling message like that? So we tell them how to do it. Or number 2, we focus on the mindset, right? Removing those leashes that hold people back from execution that drives performance. Number 3 is that we teach the sales managers how to be the Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, Pete Carroll of coaching. And then number 4 is everything is program-based versus event-based. And number 5 is we kind of engulf the whole thing in what we call our revenue operating system to make sure that the CRM, compensation, award structures, organizational alignment is all in alignment to create that sales organization that happens to do blank.
I've been involved in a couple of conversations with your trainers where they actually got involved with the company. The salesperson had a sale that they were having difficulty to close, and they said, well, let me be on that call with you. Let's see if we can close it. Can you share how you do that?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's the most important thing. All of our trainers, they're practitioners, which means these are not somebody who studied sales. They're not a researcher that's decided, I'm going to go tell you the science behind it. We have a science, but all of our trainers are people that this is what they do. This is what they do every day. They have been top in sales in their companies. They are still in sales. They're all required to sell, and the purpose for it, so they can jump in, so they can sell through the people that they're coaching, and they can come in and they're speaking from experience. So every time they get on, it's not like, 25 years ago, I did a sale and this is how I did it. It's, hey, the last hour I was talking to this person and this is what happened. And the other side of that, Paul, is we've invited people to come in with us selling. So come in and participate in the sales process as the observer, as also going in and helping them close sales.
I've got one. I think about sales, and sometimes I think about Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, and Alec Baldwin, and Coffee is for Closers. Do you think people have a mental block when it comes to sales, that they think it has to be like a used car salesman, or it has to be like Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, and what are your thoughts about that?
Sure. So that's actually a personal mission of mine. So my personal mission is to bring back or ignite the pride, purpose, and respect of professional selling. And it's like anything. People don't have a problem with salespeople in general. They have a problem with some salespeople that project boring, unhelpful, or unethical behaviors. People don't have a problem with lawyers, or they have a problem with some lawyers that are unethical, et cetera, right? So the problem is that it goes back to that kind of thing you said earlier, that majority of people are not training their salespeople. And so if they're not training them to be professional, and at the same time, maybe they're in a culture of manipulation, and that's a big difference, right? Is that the same techniques that I would use to persuade you to do something that would benefit you are the same techniques I would use to manipulate you to do something that would harm you.
Yes.
The same techniques. The problem is that back in the early 80s, those movies came out, and so there was this whole revolution called soft selling or relationship selling that was very big. And they said, hey, don't be that over there. So the pendulum swung completely the other side. But what all the research has said is that relationship selling, soft selling approach, it doesn't actually move the needle. So the most successful salespeople are the ones that are assertive, but they're assertive and respectful. They're provocative and educational. And they have to do that, not, hey, Jeff, let me go take you out to a ball game, and as long as I keep doing that enough, eventually you will buy from me. That approach does not work.
Wow.
Powerful.
Let me ask you, recently we've been talking about salespeople and training. Do your salespeople ever get involved in training?
Like, are our salespeople training?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yes. So it was fun. Several years ago, Jason had the idea. Now, we've always had internal training. We've always trained several hours a week ourselves, so our teams. But a couple of years ago, he said, you know what? I believe so much in training that I want every salesperson, every trainer salesperson in our organization to have a minimum of 8 hours or maximum. We want 8 hours every single week of training for them. And so on my side, I'm going, but they have jobs to do. What are we going to do with 8 hours? And Jason said, we're going to do an experiment because I believe that we can outperform taking one day off and training. In those 4 other days, we will outperform because they're going to be so well trained. And he was right, and we've done it and continued it ever since. And the other departments train about 5 hours a week. But yes, I think that's one of the most important things is when you say you stand for something and believe it, do you do it? Are you really a part of it?
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming today and being part of the CEO Talks with myself. Also, in terms of what I do and work with, I'd like to offer to help and go from there. And in terms of the show or what we're doing here, we are trying to help companies grow. We're trying to help companies find revenue. And I learned a long time ago as a CFO that if I was not involved in the revenue cycle, then I was not the most helpful to the company and probably third man on the totem pole in the management cycle. So revenue is number one, managing the revenue is number two, counting the beans when they all come in is really number three. So I learned a long time ago to help myself by inserting myself in the revenue cycle and helping companies find verticals, processes, and things to do, along with doing all the financials. So I absolutely think the top line revenue is the top place you start, the one big decision. So in that, next week, we're going to be asking a gentleman by the name of Jeff Worley with Columbia Consulting Group. Jeff works with companies to help them in startup mode and hyper growth mode, and more importantly, he also works with companies that are in distress mode. He's going to be helping you determine, decide, and stay out of bankruptcy and stay into business. So right now, with all the COVID situation and the revenue issues that we have from the companies being either shut down or reduced in size and people can't buy, Jeff is right on target with the kind of business he does. He's part of C-Suite, and we welcome you to come in next week to listen to Jeff. And one of the things to always remember is that you can help get anything in life that you want as long as you help enough other people get what they want. Credit that to Zig Ziglar, a friend in the past, and I believe, Jason, you also were involved in Zig Ziglar's class when you were growing up.
He was my Sunday school teacher when I was a kid.
Outstanding. Cool. Well, Zig, we all went to the same pew in the same place, and so I share that let's all get what we want by helping others get what they want. Thank you. See you next week.